triple self, I'm so pretty. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman, I'm too hot. Make a dragon wanna retire, man, I'm too hot. Say my name, you know who I am, I'm too hot. And my band about that money, break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch.
It's Wednesday night, time for some Straight Talk. There's your host, Matt Hasley, coming at you November 16th. What, 1 week from tomorrow, Thanksgiving? Hard to believe this year is rocketing by. It's like, it's a fast hour, I like to call it. Special thanks to our sponsors out there, eat24.com. If you ain't yet, well, log on to eat24.com. Download that app for your favorite mobile device. Click, order, and eat. It's a food truck in your pants. Really, it's that easy. Also, hotsaucevault.com. Log on to hotsaucevault.com. Louis, hottest of the hot, wimpy for the wimp. They got it. Check them out. Hotsaucevault.com. They got gag gifts, you name it. Christmas coming up. Also, we have Lyft. Lyft. Need a ride somewhere? Need a Lyft? Call them. They'll get you there. We, one of the things, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there. You got still protests going on. We still got Hillary meltdown, as you want to call it. We got Craigslist ads. We got stuff we're going to talk about. Just all kinds of crazy stuff in the news. But I want to start out with Major League Baseball. Yeah, it just got over. Well, they handed out the awards for Manager of the Year. And I'm like, how does Dave Roberts get the NL Manager of the Year? And I understand the Dodgers had a great year and they went to the NLCS, but they got beat by the Cubs. And Joe Madden wins the World Series for the Cubs. Cubs haven't won a World Series in 108 years. So Madden, yes, he got Manager of the Year last year. How does he not get it this year? Makes no sense at all. How do you not, I tell you what, if you take your team to the World Series, you should be Manager of the Year. Unless you took them from worst to first, which they didn't. I don't understand how you don't get Manager of the Year. If you took if the two teams that took their teams to the playoffs, I don't care if he gets it 2 years in a row. They don't want to give the same award out to the same guy. If he's worthy of it, hey, give it to him. But I'm like, how do you not give it to Madden this year? Winning the World Series. You know, Terry Francona got AL Manager of the Year. Yeah, I understand Madden was up against Dusty Baker and Dave Roberts. But when you win it all, you should at least get the NL Manager of the Year if you're in the National League. And I'm just like, holy crap, how do you not give it to Madden? He runs the table. I'm like, you can't do any better. What's next year? He had 103 win season. So he's won more games than any other team this year. And they went on to win the World Series. What does he have to do to get it again? I'm just like, that didn't make any sense when I heard that. And I heard that he wasn't even the top. He was third in line. And I heard that the sports writers do it. Well, that makes no sense at all. Am I biased because I'm a Cub fan? Yes. But I don't understand. I can understand Terry Francona getting it because he's the AL manager. He's the AL World Series manager. How Joe Madden doesn't get it for the NL just baffles my mind. I just was like, oh, okay. Just didn't make sense to me. Yes, the Dodgers had a great year, but they lost. They lost in the NLCS. So, I mean, you look at they said there was 16 votes. Roberts won 16 first-place votes. Madden, who led the Cubs to the World Series championship, finished, well, I guess they said they finished second with 8. It says voting was conducted before the postseason. Well, why vote that early? Why doesn't it all encompass all of it together? Yeah, it says, in Roberts' debut, the season got within 2 victories of the World Series as close as if they've gotten since 1988. Well, Cubs go all the way. Why they didn't wait till after the World Series is over to make a decision, I have no idea. I think it has a lot of effect on who should win Manager of the Year. And it's just a title, Manager of the Year. Wow. I don't know if they don't get any more, but it's a good recognition. Other news with the Cubs. Cubs owner Ricketts wants to do is he said he wants to make amends with Steve Bartman. And I don't know if you know who Steve Bartman is. Bartman is it happened. I remember watching the game live. I don't think Moises Alou would have got to the ball. He thinks he would have. Bartman was on the left field line, and just like any other fan, he went for a foul ball. Well, Alou thought he could have jumped up and grabbed it, and they were 5 outs from going to the World Series, I think it was, or 6 outs. I don't know. It was a crazy time. And he was labeled the reason why they lost. He got death threats. Unbelievable. The guy's been a lifelong Cub fan, and people gave him death threats because he did what anybody would have done. He went for a fly ball in the stands. But apparently it's a topic the Cub owner Tom Ricketts addressed in a wide-ranging interview with USA Today. Ricketts didn't go into any detail about possible plans for Bartman. It remains to be seen if Bartman has any desire to be a willing participant. However, there's been a movement among Cub fans for Bartman to throw out the first pitch at a 2017 home opener. I think that would be class. Put it to bed. Let him to where he can go to games and they don't feel like they're after him anymore. Ricketts says, I'm sure we'll reach out to him at the right time. And I'm sure we'll figure something out that provides closure for everybody. Hopefully we can make it work. But I've never focused on ghosts or curses or Bartmans or any of that stuff, he says. It's always been about needing a better team on the field. We wanted to eventually get to that point where we can pick out rings like we did Tuesday. And here we are. It says, Bartman has been in hiding since the Game 6 of the 2003 NLCS. I mean, you imagine that. To get a death threats because you went for a foul ball. And I don't understand how, people think that makes sense. It's like these people protesting right now. They had a new show, it's on Fox, Tucker Carlson, he took over a new show, and he had this protester on. It was a college student. And they're going back and forth, and the protesters trying to tell him why the legal immigrants should be allowed in here, and they have just as much right here as we do. And Tucker Carlson asked him a question, and I had to kind of laugh because of the way he said it. He goes, "Do you lock your door at home?" And he says, "I don't know what that has anything to do with this." He said, "Well, you're saying that the person has as much right to be in the United States. Well, don't the citizens of the United States have enough, enough right to say that they don't want people to come in?" It's like, do you lock your door at home? Or do you just let anybody come in that wants to come in, that feels like they should have a right to come into your house? And the guy was kind of taken aback a little bit. And not, he said, big businesses love it that you want the undocumented immigrants here. And he says, he's like, well, kind of flustered, but not sure why he meant that. He goes, because it drives down wages. It gives them a bigger profit margin. Because the undocumented immigrant is not going to be able to sit there and require as much services and stuff because they're undocumented. If it got out that they were here in the United States, they're they possibly deported. There was a business here in Iowa that had a milk farm or whatever it was, and they were paying in two separate payment systems. For the Americans would get paid one, the undocumented immigrants, illegals would get paid by different. It was like monopoly money, and it was like half of what the other people were getting paid. And finally, the government got wind of it. They went in and shut them down, and it about killed the town that was there. But the problem was, and people are going, well, look what it did to that town. Well, yeah, it did to that town, not because of what the federal government going in and shutting them down. It went in because the people were doing it illegally. And the people they knew about it. I have no problem with immigration. I have no problem with people coming to this country, assimilating to this country, following the laws and everything. The people that I have a problem with that don't follow the laws, that don't want to assimilate with this country, that think they're above everything and think that they can do crime and everything and still not have to deal with it. So, I mean, it's do I think that everybody go, Donald Trump's going to, kick out 11 million? No, he's not. I mean, people are teaching their kids that Donald Trump is he's going to do is kill all gay people, and he's going to do. And I'm like, where do you come up with this stuff? How do you tell your kids that? There was a lady that's got in a lot of hot water over the video she posted about her young son, who's 7, voted in a mock election, and he voted for Donald Trump, and she kicked him out of the house. I mean, she didn't actually kick him out, but for the time that they were going through it, she kicks him out with a little briefcase, suitcase that's packed, making him take his stuff down the street like he's getting kicked out. This kid is losing it. Well, they're teaching somebody. Now, next time, he's not going to tell you who he voted for. Or he's going to vote in fear. That's the problem with most of the votes for Donald Trump. People didn't put a sticker on their car. People didn't put signs in their yard. People didn't put most of the time wear the hat that says "Make America Great Again," because the reason why is they knew they were going to get attacked for it. It's we're what they do is every time you bring up a conversation about something, people and then they start yelling at the person. Well, then the person finally gets to where they won't talk about anything around them because they don't want to bring it up because it's too sore a subject. Oh, we might start an argument because the person isn't rational enough to be able to talk with them. We had the kids nowadays got to have their safe spaces and their little cuddle poodles and their chocolate and their coloring books and I'm like, if I'm not mistaken, most kids that go to college are adults. Yeah, there's occasional phenom that goes there that graduates, when he's like 13 and goes to college. But they're letting these kids out of schools, tax-supported schools, to go protest. Well, the kids are going to go. They're going to walk out because you know why? They don't want to be in school. They're not going to go, well, I'm going to stay here. No. They're going to follow with the flow. And the teachers are going right along with them, and that's the problem. A kid, 11-year-old kid, same age as my son. He's in school. Teacher asks, all right, who voted for whatever, Donald Trump? Kid raises his hand. 4 or 5 kids come over and just start beating the crap out of him. Right in school. I love it. Iowa has a lawmaker that's coming out with a law. It's called Suck It Up, Buttercup. Wants to cut funding for schools coddling students over Trump. If they got enough over the budget to pay for grief counseling and stuff, well, some of their budget they don't need. It says they're going to slash funding for public colleges spending money on grief counseling and other kid glove treatments for students upset over Donald Trump. It said telling snowflakes, they call them, suck it up, Buttercup. Really, they're an adult. Whether you like who got elected, if you don't like it, try to do is affect the outcome of the next election by voting and getting aware of what's going on. But, I mean, there's a lot of misconceptions about what Donald Trump is about. They were interviewing Donald Trump. It was ABC News, I think it was interviewing him. And she was asking him about people that are gay and people that are Hispanic and people that are Muslim that are feared that are being attacked by Donald Trump supporters. Well, there's very few. I guarantee you, if there was a lot of them, they would be on every news broadcast everywhere. And there's not. You look at the majority of the attacks are coming from the other side. I got multiple articles here tonight where a guy was wearing a Donald Trump hat. He gets choked in the subway. I have a homeless man who is a former Marine, I think it was, beaten to death by kids at a gas station because he was a Trump supporter. That little boy getting kicked out of his house. And they do is they immediately go all over Donald Trump. They're like going, oh, his transition team is in disarray because it's been 8 days since he appointed to somebody. Well, sorry to burst the bubble, but it was 3 weeks before Barack Obama appointed anybody to his cabinet. And it's been 8 days. And then they don't want Bannon because they go, oh, Bannon's a racist. The guy's a Harvard grad. The guy's got education. They just don't like his right-wing Breitbart.com. I don't think he's any more racist than anybody. Not everybody that voted for Donald Trump is a racist. Is there a few that probably did? Yes. Are there some racists that voted for Hillary Clinton? Yes. There's racists on both sides. There's racists in every skin color. It happens. Everybody goes, well, Hillary's leading by whatever, so many 500,000-600,000 in the popular vote. Well, there's a report out that probably almost, and this is through, I'm trying to think of what organization, but they figure that there were 3 million illegals that voted. And I would bet almost all of those 3 million illegals voted for Hillary Clinton. So if you put those 3 million illegals that voted, take that out of there, she lost by 2.4 million in the popular vote. So, and I wonder how much Soros machines had stuff to do with that. I bet you she lost by more than that. You look at the map. The map shows that she won 57 counties. That's it. 57 counties, voting counties. That tells you that's a landslide loss. You know, I talked about it on my show Monday. You know how the media is reporting everything. I had to laugh at the media. Media is it's sickening to what they're at. They're not reporting the Rape Melania signs. How does the president or, not get up there and say, this is ridiculous. He's over in Greece or in Athens or whatever, walking around the rubble, talking about how we don't want, we got to warn against America, Americanism or whatever, instead of globalism. I'm sorry, but Americanism is each country should be proud of themselves as a whole. Help other countries, but be proud and not be. There's a guy signed, Americanism is racism, and I'm like, how do you figure? It's amazing how people are they're sheep. So the media, a guy came out with a great thing. It says, if the media was unbiased, why do 3 different stations report the news 3 different ways? Because they report it the way you like to hear it. So there's a report out that on election night, and I'm sure that people talk about how the protesters have been rioting, and they're actually been bussed in. They got video of the buses actually where they dropping them off, and they're hired by Soros Group that's designed, and they're all over the United States where these protesters are at, in Chicago and Seattle and different places where they even had one in Iowa City. I'm not sure where it was. One lady, she's out in the interstate. It's at night, going to stop traffic because they want to protest. They feel they should be able to stand out in the middle of oncoming cars, and she gets smoked by a car, and it breaks her pelvis. Well, duh. What do you think's in the road? Cars. They're moving 65, 70 miles an hour. You doofus, get out of the road. I loved it. There was a semi coming down there. Crowd out in the road. What did he do? Slow down to about 20 miles an hour and just laid on the horn and just kept on going. They ran out of the way. I don't understand why you think you should be able to block the road. There's a story out. I haven't been able to corroborate it or whatever, but I've seen it through different feeds and stuff like that, where there was a medic that was talking about that it took them 45 minutes extra to get to the hospital because they were blocked by protesters, and the guy that they were taking died. Had a 4-year-old kid, and now his kid has to go without a dad, thanks to these protesters. They don't care. They're millennials. We're going to live forever. I'm sorry, you don't. Get your therapy dog and your crying session and your little safe space and your little coloring books. Suck it up, Buttercup. Get out of the road. Start being an adult. Get a job. I don't understand. They're upset about they're protesting democracy. Well, apparently on election night, and the only person really that has, I would say, the right to be upset would be Hillary Clinton. Yeah, and people that were in her cabinet and stuff like that, or her, that trying to get her elected. But apparently,
Congestion.
it says Hillary, you couldn't find her that night. Apparently, they said that she was. It says, and this is the way they word it: Democratic presidential nominee, anticipating the post-election reaction of many of her supporters, began shouting profanities, banging tables, and turning objects not nailed down into projectiles. She was hurling stuff across the room. It says sources told the American Spectator that on Tuesday night, after Hillary realized that she had lost, she went into a rage. R. Emmett Terrell reports Secret Service officers told at least one source that she began yelling, screaming obscenities, and pounding furniture. She picked up objects, threw them at attendants and staff. She was in an uncontrollable rage. The parents of campaign manager John Podesta at the Manhattan's Javits Center and demilitarization of his here to it for ambiguous charge perplexed in the first hours of Wednesday. She was gone. He says they're still counting votes and every vote should count, Podesta declared to a sad and stunned hall. So it says Podesta refused to recognize reality early Wednesday morning. Hillary Clinton called Donald Trump to offer congratulations. Yeah, I can understand her being upset, but this is exactly the type that they've been talking about, how she is. She would be that way with people at the White House when she was First Lady. She would throw stuff at Bill. She has she goes in rage. And that's the personality she has. They've been talking about that for months. And nobody would report on it. And they're still not reporting on this. They won't report on this. I guarantee you if Donald Trump would have lost and he wouldn't have went in rage, they'd have been reporting on it. Oh, see, look at... He can't handle himself. They would have said anything. Well, the media is pissed at Donald Trump. Why? I couldn't believe... I watched a great video on it. The guy was talking about it. But, Donald Trump decided to do is go out for dinner with his family. And he didn't take the press pool with him. He didn't sit there and tell him, hey, let's go. We're going to go here. It says he went out to eat called the 21 Club or 21 something. And he met with his family and they had a steak dinner. But he didn't tell the press. And I'm like, it's not like he went by himself and ditched the security and everything and went out. He took the Secret Service. They went. And they all went out for, they already knew where he was going. He just didn't tell the press. I'm sorry, he's not president yet. And I don't think he should have to tell you everywhere he goes. Obama doesn't tell it. And apparently, they don't have flashback memory. They can't remember. 8 years ago when Obama got elected, he did the same thing in Hawaii. Went out for dinner with his family. Right after getting elected. It didn't turn into a big to-do. It never even got reported on. So I talked to my sister. She, of course, was I don't know if she's a Jill Stein or if she was a Hillary Clinton. I have no idea who she voted for. But, I mean, Mox next doesn't make any difference. But she says she's just going to wait. I said, it's over with. Can't bitch. Hey, give him a chance. She goes, yep, I'm just going to sit back and laugh at all the stupid things he does. Well, that's her opinion. That's what she thinks is going to happen. And if she's right, we will too. So that's the way life happens. It's a series of roller coasters. Sometimes you're up at the top of the roller coaster, sometimes you're down. You know, but to sit there and go into total meltdown, like some of these kids you see, they're crying and screaming, and my God, they're on the. It's ridiculous what they think that is going to happen. I mean, some of the signs that they hold up, and they're attacking people that voted that had a difference of opinion of theirs. The guy in Chicago, they drug him out of his car, beat the crap out of him, and yelling that you voted Trump, and stole his car. Got no way to get to work now, they say. Here's another one. Guy's down, he was, guy was outside a bar. He joked about voting for Trump. It was the first date. I guess it went terribly wrong for him when he said he voted for President Donald Trump. He says they were outside a bar in Atlanta when his date got in. This guy got into an argument with another guy who pulled a gun. So Walker 25 said the alleged shooter uttered something disrespectful to her as she went back into the bar. Angering Mormon 32 confronted the man who had been arguing with him. Walker said Mormon jokingly told the man he voted for Trump. The argument continued. The alleged shooter, identified by Walker as a Hispanic man wearing a white coat, went around a corner and came back with a gun and opened fire. It says police responded to the address, found Walker and Mormon shot. Both were taken to Grady Hospital, where Mormon died later. I'm like, are you kidding? Because somebody voted for Trump, you had to kill them because you didn't like what they said. Well, yeah, the guy could have walked away. But that doesn't have anything to do with what somebody thinks that they can kill somebody because they voted against what they said. Guys like that need to do, he should be put away for life. They go, oh, we'll give him the death penalty. That gives him the easy way out. I don't think he should get life, and he should be, the bad thing about it is he shouldn't get any special treatment. So, I mean, you look at, we got, it says police arrest a drunk driver. And I had to laugh at this one. Blames the crash on angry over Trump victory. I'm like, her blood alcohol was 0.33, which 0.10 is the legal limit. Crashed into two vehicles at a traffic stop in Minnesota Wednesday. And told police officers she was drinking to drown her sorrows about President-elect Donald Trump's victory. I'm like, she was 4 times the legal limit. So and you're blaming on Donald Trump. I'm drowning my sorrows. Like I said, suck it up, Buttercup. I mean, it's what do they expect life to be? Everything is going to be, it can't be anything wrong, because if it is wrong, I can't handle it. The NBA has gotten involved in it. The NBA says they're going to boycott Trump hotels. 3 NBA teams, not all of them, but 3 of them so far. And I'm like, Milwaukee Bucks, Memphis Grizzlies, and Dallas Mavericks refuse to stay at any hotels owned by or licensed by Donald Trump. Well, you know what? Oh well. I think it's ridiculous. It shows child's mentality. And I really like Mark Cuban. I think he's a sharp guy, unbelievable entrepreneur. But it just shows how childish they are. They won't even look into the. I guarantee you, when this comes out eventually, they're gonna freak when they find out stuff that's in Hillary's. I've heard some stuff about. There was reports about her going to Jeffrey Epstein's island, that little pedophile island. She'd been there 6 times. Came out in the WikiLeaks. So yeah, it's sad. And then they sit there in a 11-year-old audio of Donald Trump talking to Billy Bush, and that's supposed to be, oh, well, Donald Trump is a rapist or whatever and all that. I'm like, that's guy talk. Guys talk like they're porn stars when they're together, act like they're tough. And half the time, if the women came up to them, they wouldn't know what to do. So, yeah, it's sick to think the way it's so one-sided. What they did was, that's a classic example. All the people that were voting for Trump didn't say it. They just kept it to themselves. So everybody thought Hillary was running away with it. And they're mad. The media's mad now because they were made to look like idiots. They reported all this time. Oh, he's got no chance. He's nothing. Oh, yeah. She's got an 8-point lead or a 10-point lead or whatever. So I'm glad the election's over with. I've had a lot of people come to me, and I'll tell you what, her troubles aren't over. I talked to a gentleman that he's in contact with attorneys that says that her troubles aren't done. And I'm wondering if Obama's going to pardon her. So we got Craigslist ad that came out. Well, there's multiple Craigslist ad. They had Craigslist ad for people to protest Donald Trump, where you could get paid $1,500 a week. Well, I thought it was a great ad on Facebook. He goes, hell, I'm not even president yet, and I've already created jobs. People getting paid $1,500 a week or whatever to protest. Well, so it says, so you're bothered by Donald Trump winning. It says Craigslist says, mad about Trump? It says spank a white guy. I'm like, whatever. It says Trump was elected president of the United States, and if you're Americans who believe that making a reality television star leader of the free world was not the human race's best decision ever, you may have noticed negative changes in your behavior since last week. Perhaps increased alcohol consumption, doomsday prepping, or lack of interest in anything other than screaming why over and over again. Well, if this sounds like you, one, you got a problem, but it says it might be time to close your laptop and find a new way to channel your rage. It appears people all over the country are already had this idea, and there's been a huge surge in election-related appeals for companionship on Craigslist that cater to whatever stage of grief you're in. It says Vocative read through Craigslist personals listing from several major cities and found that the most creative ads are those from the BDSM, which is bondage and sadomasochist community, who express their willingness to take a beating to help you temporarily escape your looming specter of alt-right dystopia. So I guess if you want to do is hire a guy, whatever, so you can spank them, you can do it. Which I didn't realize that really, did not know that you could do that on Craigslist. Apparently, I'm not a peruver, or what do you want to call it, of Craigslist. But apparently there is a lot of people that do use it. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it was such a big thing. So they, but in other, you got other things that are going on in the news. You got, this is one that gets me, and this is why I do not understand why women did how they let Hillary, and a lot of them didn't, but how women didn't see this as a problem. How Hillary taking money from countries over in like Dubai and stuff like that. But a British woman, was gang raped in Dubai, and she's facing jail. And why? Because she's accused of extramarital affair. Authorities accused her of sex outside of marriage. She was raped. But that doesn't count. They said, they blame it. Oh, what? If she's working a burqa, what? Ooh, her wrist was showing. Oh, I couldn't stop it. And think about it, really. So it's her fault because she was raped. If we were that way in this country here, the women would go crazy. And I would agree with them. I don't think it's right that the woman has to sit there and have several witnesses to come forward. And they can't be women. They have to be men witnesses. They treat women in their countries like cattle. It said the two alleged attackers even filmed themselves raping her. It says, but the victim's family have claimed, but is still allowed to travel back to Britain just that. But it said the family told the Sun they have taken her passport and lawyers thrash it out. She's staying with an English family, but is absolutely terrified. She went to the police as a victim of one of the worst ordeals imaginable. But she's being treated as a criminal. What's wrong with that? That doesn't get reported. That's not on the regular news. Because why? Because it would do is make Hillary look bad that she took money from him. And that doesn't make sense. That's okay. They take gays and they throw them off roofs. But she sits there and goes, oh, I'm for the LGBT community. Oh, thanks for the money over here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, put it in this bank account. Oh, what do you want me? Why are you doing that? I guarantee you, those countries that donated to her are going like, son of a bitch, she didn't even get elected. We gave her all that money and she didn't get elected? What the heck? We want something for our money, they're going to say. That or give it back. I wonder if she's going to get a visit. People, those countries don't just give money to people for a reason. If so, send me some. I'll do a little, what do they call that? It's not Craigslist. It's crowdfunding. Maybe I can crowdfund some money from them, use it for good reasons other than, what's going on now. So other crime stories or criminal activity. I mean, that one makes no sense to me at all. But there's a mother. You think about child neglect and child abuse and stuff like that. Mother was arrested after giving her son a sippy cup of vodka from Ohio. A woman has been charged with child endangerment as she sneaked a sippy cup of vodka into a high school football game, and her toddler son drank from it and became ill. Tell me, that's you really have a problem when you got to fill the sippy cup of vodka. I don't think it was meant to give to the kid, but the kid got a hold of it. That's a good way of killing some kid. And I can't think of his name. He was arrested for leaving his child in a car unattended, and the kid died. And he went out there and knew the kid was in there and threw some stuff in the car, and then acted like later on, oh, I can't believe I left her, the kid in the car. Yeah, he was convicted. Good. He deserved to be. Convicted of murder. Here's another one, child abuse one. This one just, I can't believe the way people are. It says, woman abused boyfriend's child because it wasn't hers, she told police. Pennsylvania woman tied up her boyfriend's 4-year-old son and forced him to eat laxative and hot sauce because he was another woman's child. It says, the lady, 31 years old, bound the boy's legs during what she called playing mermaid, fed the child a laxative concoction and hot sauce without letting him drink water for long periods of time, and kept him barricaded in a closet over a 4-month period. What is wrong with people? It says she also verbally abused the boy, calling him blank pig, and told him he had a stupid, ugly face. She allegedly forced him to stay on the toilet for hours until he defecated. The boy, who is now staying with relatives, suffered cuts, bruises, and burns during the abuse. How do you explain that to to the dad? Oh yeah, he fell down multiple times. I guess she was charged with 30. It said the police also charged the boy's father with felony counts of endangerment and conspiracy for concealing the abuse and not reporting it to authorities. How do you do this to a kid? I just don't understand it. I was at a scene of when they dug up a child that had been beaten to death. I remember it to this day. I mean, it's one of those. I talked about it before, and it's one of those things that haunts me. Just the smell of it and the scene. So, I just don't understand how people can treat a young child like that. A little 4-year-old kid. He done nothing wrong. It says, another story here where police arrest a man holding a woman hostage for 3 months. It said a woman held in the Bronx apartment for about 3 months threatened to kill her if she left. Cops said. So the 36-year-old victim told cops that this head guy, Richard Rosa was his name, also 36, kept her against her will in an apartment. When she tried to escape multiple times, he threatened to kill her, sometimes using a .44 caliber firearm or a knife. Rosa was arrested on Friday and slapped with a laundry list of charges: kidnapping, the first degree, criminal possession of a controlled substance in the third degree, menacing. Oh, this guy needs to go away for a long time. You just can't imagine what happened, the trauma that happened to her over 3 months. Also, you think of, they had a teen arrested after stabbing several kids in a locker room. This is in Utah. 5 students were stabbed inside the boys' locker room of their high school, and a 16-year-old boy identified as a suspect was taken into custody. I'm sure there's going to be more about that, finding out exactly what happened there. But yeah, that's kind of crazy. You don't think of a, I'm sure it was one of those, where they retaliation against certain people. But yeah, that sounds wild. So, but here's a crazy one. You think about Well, before I get into there's one about kind of like a Breaking Bad episode, but another child one. I just saw that one. I was going to talk about that one at the same time, but this one just I couldn't believe it when I read it. Parents accused of locking son in the basement for 2 years. It said in Alabama. It says. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not in Alabama. It's Alaska. Authorities said the 14-year-old boy weighing 14. He weighed 55 pounds. And he's fighting for his life, spending as much as 2 years locked in the basement. Sorry. It was Alabama. I'm sorry. But it says, I can't believe that people can do that to their kids. So the worst case of neglect ever they've seen. 55 pounds. My son is 11, and he weighs more than 55 pounds. Imagine somebody at 14 years old. That, and they probably don't even think anything of it, like it's no big deal to them. These people are that sick. But here's one. This sounds like something out of a movie. And it says, Breaking Bad sicko found guilty of dismembering a police officer in an acid bath. It's a crystal meth added Breaking Bad fan was found guilty of killing and dismembering a police officer that he met on a day gating site. So he says he was convicted Monday by a 12-person jury after 5 days and 30 hours of deliberations. This happened in London. He faces life in prison. He says saying that the victim accidentally died during sadomasochistic sex gone wrong. He said the self-described Satanist then cut up Semple's body while he was getting high on crystal meth and tried to dispose of the corpse in an acid bath inside the South London. I'm like, you think about that. Cut up the body. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, what makes you, think that that's okay? Wow. You think it's, evil in this world right now. It's to an all-time level I've never seen. Here's another story that this is a good story, but police are solving more crimes thanks to pizza. It says what they're doing is the pizza deliveries tip cops off to internal fugitives and preserve DNA evidence that blew open a gruesome D.C. area quadruple homicide. It's a most recently Illinois man mugging a pizza man led investigators to criminals who had just murdered a man in Georgia. Call it a slice of justice, they said. Pizza hunger trumps better judgment, says Candace DeLong, former FBI criminal profiler and host of Deadly Women on Investigation Discovery. Because none of these people would have been in prison today if they hadn't picked up the phone and called up for a Domino's pie. Pizza enthusiasm knows no bounds, especially among these crooks. So, you think about that they the DNA involved with that. So when they found the bodies and stuff, the pizza's there, and they get the DNA from the crust and stuff. Technology is unbelievable. I did also see there was we talked about it the other day, but I saw one where the guy did a video and he was making threats towards Donald Trump, and the one guy in the video talks about it, that he doesn't realize that because he has half his face covered, that facial recognition software will be able to detect you. Criminals aren't the smartest. You know, that's why they're criminals. But, you know, I just, I think that we need to give, you know, our Donald Trump a chance. Right now, the dollar is at a 14-year high, and the stock market has set multiple records. So the market is happy with the signs of what's going on, because businesses, they think if they're going to get their taxes reduced, that's going to spur more income, more profit margin. It's going to spur more businesses to expand, more businesses to start up. Let's hope it goes in the right direction. So, like the Iowa lawmaker says, suck it up, buttercup. You got to do is sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. I'm getting an article. My uncle who has passed away was a Marine that fought in the Korean War and also in different battles. Well, he has a letter that he wrote about what he had to go through. I'm getting a copy of it, and I'm going to talk about it on air. I'm going to read the article. Hopefully I can do it without everybody that I've talked to that's read it said they've broken into tears, just couldn't believe what he had to go through. My uncle was a great man. I mean, he's just a great, nice guy. Just I heard stories about what he would do is he'd go to movies, and he couldn't sit through the whole movie because he could not sit down for that long. He was, anytime, you know, the noise would happen or whatever, he just had the paranoia, he had to get out of there. A lot of times they would go in halfway through the movie so they could see the end of it. You can imagine that, having that, you know, that fear. So, yeah, hopefully I get that article. I'm going to try to read it Friday. You know, with being Veterans Appreciation, you know, with Veterans Day was Monday. You know, you think about what they had to go through. You know, people that fought. A lot of people don't realize it. You know, they sit there and they're marching and they're protesting. They don't realize what these guys gave, so they have the ability to do that. So, and also I got trying to do is get a interview with it talks about suicide awareness, not making a permanent decision for a temporary problem. So a lot of people get that, they hear that word mental health and they, ooh, no. They don't want to get involved because they're afraid that if they get somebody, if they've seen that, now they get that stigma over them. Oh, you saw a mental health counselor, you're nuts, you know. So, and then they figure if we don't talk about it, well, that'll make it go away. Well, it doesn't. Well, it's that time of the night. We're fast hour, as I like to say. We're going to call it a night. Hey, have a great night, great week, and we will we'll see you when we see you. Be safe.